Christ is risen, indeed he is risen. Now, as I said before in the other video, this one is about retaliation in housing. Something that dawned on me yesterday. So usually that's a Holy Spirit inspired moment. A light bulb turning on, so to speak. Now, there's various, I believe they're federal as well as state statutes. Well, it would be federal regs, as opposed to state statutes that involve protecting of victims of, domestic abuse, domestic battery. Let's see, stalking. Not it would be acquaintance. It would be domestic assault. Stalking. But actually, the stalking statute doesn't have to be people from the house. It can, be a blanket for people just stalking anybody, to protect the victims. Now, what I've seen, at least around the Tri-County area, specifically in Saginaw County, they will use these protections that are supposed to be for the victims to protect the perpetrators. I've seen in at least two complexes, especially one more than the other, people be moved around to protect them when actually they're the ones that are victimizing people. But they get some people, they may rent multiple apartments because they got a big family, or they're friends with, people that work in the office. But, the agencies around here, they, because, unfortunately, the HUD-VASH system, they need to clean house. That's what I feel like. They should be pushing, I'm speaking specifically of HUD-VASH. I have a lot of experience with them and with the Housing Commission in this area, and a little bit in Genesee County, and a little bit in Bay County. They should be, especially the veterans, should be geared towards renting homes. The way the system is supposed to work is this is the way it was written, not the way it's being operated. The way the veterans voucher system is supposed to work is somebody's put in a home or a townhome or a house, or a condo, or a trailer. It's more complicated though, because you got lot rent if you don't own the land and stuff. And then they rent it for a while they're getting stabilized. And if they have to deal with VA or disability, it's good that these are long-term vouchers, because some people, I've seen disability claims that are not really finalized for a couple years. I met one guy that's battling the VA for almost 10 years. And finally, there was movement forward, ratings, guarantees for treatment. After almost 10 years, you know how much your health declines just in 3 or 4 years? Because if you're going to deal with statistics, the vast majority of veterans things are changing because Iraq, Yemen, Afghanistan, so things are changing, and Africa as well. Things are changing, like I said, but it used to be once people reach about 40 to 50, then they started getting ingratiated into the VA system. They use it, they get a rating. Things are changing now. It's around 20 to 30-ish, but still, once people get in the system, generally, generally they only have anywhere. Like I said, things are changing. It used to be around 20 to 30 years of productive life, independent, before they moved into anything hospital care, home care, nursing care, etc. So you figure about 20 to 30 years of, VA relevant care outside of like other things like rural health or, facility type care. So these vouchers are supposed to be for them to get on their feet. Their rent's being paid for a couple of years until, there's significant payments against the equity of that home, and they give it to them. Or they take and, you can't do this during the contract, but you can, at the end of a HUD-VASH, let's say 4 or 5 year contract, all of a sudden the person can say, okay, you've been on this for 4 years. Now you can get a VA home loan, and I'm going to consider your 4 years as a down payment. This is the way the system was designed. Because as I've said in other videos before, the only people in U.S. code that are designated specifically to own a home is veterans. And this is the way the system was designed, but we're getting away from it. The money is going into real estate portfolio pockets. When you get in all this residential type stuff, condos, that don't let people individually own, which is actually more like a townhome complex. Then you got your townhomes, your apartment complexes, stuff like that. Or your rental homes that are never given to anybody. They're just for rent, like housing development type things. They're never given to people. That's how this is being implemented. And the same thing for like your Section 8s and your MSHDAs. These programs, especially MSHDA, MSHDA and Section 8 are really the same thing. But as my brother told me, it's just funding source. But, these programs, especially the ones relevant to veterans, are geared for them to own the home or the trailer. And there's nothing wrong with owning a trailer, by the way. You see lots of people on YouTube that have drivable trailers. They're called van lifers. So, I think that stigma to owning a trailer, I think nowadays, it's kind of ridiculous. But the way that this stuff is being implemented is not the way it was designed. And again, so are these statutes that protect victims. What I have seen, at least in the Tri-County area, especially in Saginaw County, is that these, they won't use them directly on paper, but they will use it within their complex system to move the perpetrators. While the people who are victimized, the only way they get out of a place is by being evicted. And, what I've seen, some of these complexes will do anything they can. They'll be rude to you. They'll be abusive. They will try to give you a hassle when you put in a maintenance request by, because if you're being targeted, they know when you go out. In my experience, my attorney already told me that. Yeah, these people are listening in your home, and sometimes they're recording you. So they know when you're going out. That way maintenance can say, oh, we can only come tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow all day. That's the only day they can come. No, if you want to, we can enter your home without your permission. Oh, yeah. Always. They love that. And you will have to push and press and sometimes even argue and go to legal aid to get people to work with you. A few times with the complex we've lived at, they've worked with us, but it's not always guaranteed. And I'm the kind of person, I'm like, hey, if we discuss it a day, even a couple of days, we'll do our best to not go out. But on the rare occasions do they work with us. Usually it's when we have to go out. But just like how that system, and then they'll give you notice the night before. It's supposed to be 24 hours. And they'll say, hey, we gave you notice the day before. It's not 24 hours. In stuffing something in somebody's door, they may not even receive it. Especially in a place with a lot of crime, a lot of theft, and a lot of troublemakers. They'll just pull it out of your door and throw it in the trash. Or they'll pull it out of your door and keep it to mess with you by photocopying it and just altering it every time they photocopy it so they can mess with you, sometimes for years. We have a stack of notices. I think it's around 70 to 80 notices from one complex that we lived for several years. 70 to 80 notices. And 90% of the time, nobody ever came. And sometimes we would call about it, because I've received some notices for like a week or two. Yeah, we'll be entering your home someday within the next 10 days. And I would call them like, that's not how it's supposed to be done. You can't do this as a blanket notice. Well, the law favors us as the landlord. I'm like, you have to give 24-hour notice, and you can't blanket it for 2 weeks or a month. And then other times I've called in, then they're like, oh, that was put in your door, and I'll say, yeah, didn't you do it? Oh, yeah, yep, we're gonna be entering your home tomorrow. Okay, because they're friends with the people who are targeting you. So the real reading of the legislation regarding that is 24-hour notice before they enter your home. And if you want to, if your housing agency will back you, you can tell them, I want to be served in person. I even made a joke, hey, you can serve me in person, and I won't say a word. That should be a fun day for you. They ignored it. But you should be given the respect. Somebody to hand you a letter and says, yep, in here is when we need to enter your home. If you want to negotiate, call us. That's the way that a good complex would be if they want to keep tenants. You background check people, and you find people that, have some kind of a short to long-term connection, and you find good people, and you keep them. I've been told by a housing agency person that some of the larger corporate places, some of them in Michigan, they're not even background checking people. Sometimes they just want to keep the units, at 80% plus. If they're at, I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me if they're at 80%, then some of the loss they can actually write off, but only a certain amount. But so they'll, just to keep people in there, they'll take anybody. You'll get your $500 referral bonus, and the person that's referred will get $500 off their first month's rent. And the place is full, but could be full of people that just got out of prison and they're not rehabilitated. They're one step from going back. It could be people that are convicted rapists. It could be people that are convicted pedophiles. It could be people that have repeatedly got in trouble for selling drugs. It could be people who repeatedly, their kids are breaking into places. It could be couples that repeatedly have domestic battery problems. It could be anything, because there's no background check. It could be people that are part of cults, whether religious or political. Don't know. There's no background check. Not even a Facebook check. It's social media intelligence. You use people's electronic presence to learn about them. Nothing. And, in addition to keep the people in there, like I've said, they will operationalize the statutes for stalking, and they'll move the perpetrator. They threaten to move out. They're renting 3 apartments. We'll just move them. Yeah, we have apartments that other people have been moved or got evicted. Yeah, they're half full of furniture. Yeah, you'll have some furniture, extra furniture, but you got to leave it, and we'll itemize it. We'll put an inventory. But yeah, you'll have some extra furniture in that place. So that's one way that, that people will use protections that are supposed to be for victims, true victims, who are being targeted, whether just because their race or their religion or their political background or maybe people that are in the neighborhood that are in gangs or extremist groups are targeting them. It's supposed to protect those kind of people, not the perpetrators.